Happy Friday. Today, we just wanted to talk about gratitude. We got Thanksgiving coming up in just under a week. It's kind of crazy how fast that snuck up on us, but just wanted to talk about the power of gratitude and how just thinking about things you're grateful for can help your mindset and a lot of times help you get out of a funk if you're feeling down or feeling sorry for yourself. It's always kind of a good exercise. But um yeah, Dan and I were just talking a second ago. I mean, Dan, what are you grateful for? How do you practice gratitude?
Um, uh, it can be hard when you first start adopting the mindset. You listen to Ben and I, everything's mindset, right? And it's as complex as we are. It's really you can't really be grateful and bitter at the same time, right? And so you kind of use the word trick yourself. It's as simple as that. It doesn't. It's not a light switch, but it's pretty quick. You can take 5 minutes and list out three things you're grateful for, one thing you're grateful for, and just think about that for a little bit, and then just watch your mood change. And obviously, it's not to stick your head in the sand and pretend that bad stuff doesn't happen in the world and you got to go through it, but it helps you to go through it a lot quicker and better with a better mindset if you're grateful about the things that you have, and not always kind of dwelling on the things that you don't have or that aren't going well for you. So how do I do it? I mean, it's in a perfect world, I end my night journaling and listing out my schedule for the next day. And as part of that, I write out like what were my successes for the day, what do I need to move to the next day that I didn't get done, and what am I grateful for that day. And then you wake up in the morning, you read that, you got your schedule already laid out. Maybe you fill in a little thing, the gaps. Maybe you list out a couple more tasks that you want to bang out that day, and you rewrite what you're grateful for. So it takes work, it takes a little dedication. And like I said, in a perfect world, I am not perfect. There's stretches of times that I don't do very well, but when I'm when I just do that simple journaling exercise, it takes a couple minutes in the night, in the evening, couple minutes in the morning. Very much more productive, better attitude, and really no downside. Just takes a few minutes. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's something that I've read about a lot, and like you said, in a perfect world, you know, writing down things every night. I actually learned that from a book I read called The Gap and the Gain, and it's a mindset book just about how to stay out of the gap mindset and stay in the
mhm.
gain mindset. And so through the book, he there's that's the other thing with reading some of those books is if you're going to read them, do the exercises that they have in them, because it's a lot more helpful and you get a lot more out of the book. But he had an exercise where he said, write down everything, look at your life 10 years ago and look at where you were, what you were doing, what was important to you, just kind of go into detail, and it really makes you dig and look like, man, where was I 10 years ago? And you start to go, oh wow, I have come a seriously long way, and I have a lot to be thankful for, and so he does that with 10 years, goes to 3 years, then 1 year, then 90 days even. And then, I mean, he goes all the way down to very much like what you talked about, every single night writing down your your three big wins from the day. whether it's like, hey, I went for a walk today, if you're, or hey, I spent a couple hours with my kids today, or whatever the case is, you know, journaling those wins, and then just, every single day, if you keep doing that in a perfect world, I don't do it every day. That's my goal, but yeah, you start to really see all the good things that happen, and it forces you to really dig deep into your day and into your past, and find all those good things,
Hmm.
and just realize how good you have it, no matter what's going on around you.
Well, especially if you're listening to this in America, I don't want to speak for countries where they have like true poverty and true like starvation and all that stuff. But like in America, like you wake up and you can get after it. And it's not saying it's easy, and it's not saying it's you know, not going to be work, but the just that alone, if your heart's beating, you're able to get up, and for those that can't walk or crippled or whatever, just if your heart's beating and you live in an area that allows you to make choices and go for it, like there you go. There's a starting point. Be grateful, focus on that, control what you can control, and then get a little bit better. But I just want to throw out some of the nerdy science behind it, right? And maybe, I don't know if you've heard of the reticular activating system, the RAS, if you're, watch a YouTube on it or anything. But why does gratitude, some people out there might go, oh, that's just foo-foo, right? That's whatever. Well, the science behind it is we all receive like millions of stimulus constantly throughout our day, right? And if
Hmm.
you're tweaking your reticular activating system, the RAS, that's like a filter system to tell your brain, what do we want to focus on of all this stimulus, and what do we want to just let go, let past us, right? And if you're training your brain to start to look for the good, gratitude, opportunities, it will do that over time. You can train it to see opportunities, and vice versa. If you have ever, I don't want to point any fingers, but if you've ever been around somebody in your life that all they talk about is the negative of the world, right? The sky's fallen, the government's corrupt. I'm not saying all that's not true. But if that's all they're talking about, doesn't it seem like kind of weird how how you feel after you're around that person? It's because they've trained their reticular activating system to find things that confirm their beliefs, right? And so every time
Hmm.
something bad happens, they're quick to find, well, the connect the dots on the conspiracy. And I don't get me wrong, I love all the conspiracies. I love hearing about them, but you want to train your brain to find the opportunities, right? There's opportunity to help people. There's opportunity to get better in every
Hmm.
single thing. And vice versa. You've probably been around that person that just seems like they're upbeat and it's always fun. And you leave the conversation like, dang, this is cool. We got a game plan. There's hope, right? Um,
Hmm.
that's not by accident. That's literally because of how they train their mindset and their reticular activating system to see the world. So it might be foo-foo at first, but if you stick with it, see what happens. Like I said, there's not really any downside.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, and I mean, I think if you continue to do that, like all of your relationships are going to get better. Um, I read a story about a guy who, for Thanksgiving, he he started a gratitude journal just about his wife. And every single day for an entire year, he just wrote down one thing he was grateful for about his wife that day. And, he said over time, after a couple of months of doing this, he just started to see, oh my gosh, like I'm married to the most awesome person in the whole world. And, their marriage, I mean, not that they had a bad marriage, but their marriage was reignited, and just had
Mhm.
a better all around relationship. And, the next year he gave that to her as a gift for Thanksgiving. And, it was the best gift she ever got, and,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, it's just kind of a cool idea. So, I mean, that's something you could even start this year, just on your family or your life in general. Just
Hmm.
a journal, and make it simple. Just write one thing you're grateful for that day about your family or about your life, or just pick something and just do that. And I think you'll really see some good progress in your life. To Dan's point, in America, we really have things a lot better than certain parts of the world. I was just looking at a study. It was done almost 10 years ago, so the numbers are probably a little bit old, but they the average household income worldwide was $10,000 a year. So, I mean, you just look at that, and, if you're feeling down because you're not making a six-figure income, or you're not making, $1 million a year, or whatever your goals are, look at that and be grateful. Like, you have it pretty good. Um,
Right.
so
No.
yeah, it's all about mindset. And yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I kind of just want to wrap up my soapbox for the day with just saying, Dan asked me before we got on, like, hey, so what are you grateful for? And I said, well, I'm grateful. Yesterday I got to go hunting with my brother, and that's it's just time spent with a family member, that I'm really close to. We killed something. We brought home a deer, so grateful for that. And even if we didn't get anything, I mean, I would have been grateful just to get out and just be out
Hmm.
walking for hours, freezing my tail end off, but just enjoying the outdoors and creation in general. So, you know, that was great. So, Dan, I don't know if you want to wrap it up with what you're grateful for, and you can
Yeah.
sign off
Yeah.
for the day.
I would just encourage people, sometimes both Ben and I are from big families, and sometimes people don't see their families much, so um, be be if getting together with your family is kind of dreadful sometimes, um, maybe try this out over the weekend. Do some gratitude and write out one or two things about each of your family members that you are grateful for. If there's 1,000 bad things that pop in your head, well, this this probably pertains to you because you probably trained your reticular activating system to see those bad things, right? So try this exercise over the weekend. Write down a couple good things about each of the family members and see how your interaction will be with them next week. And and do just be grateful. We're reminded daily how short life is. I was just talking to a really close friend of mine yesterday, and he was heading to a funeral, and he held it was, it was a elderly grandma who, was probably her time to go and everything, but he still had this regret that he didn't reach out to her more in the last couple of years. And it's just, so life is short. And if that's all you need to try to be grateful for your time together next week, just picture that family member not making it till next Thanksgiving. And this might be your last Thanksgiving, and just see how your time together improves. So that's all. Not to end on too sober of a note, but just life is short, and put all the negativity aside for 1 week, and then just work on your gratitude.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, thanks, everyone.